welcome to Paperback Flicks.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another Paperback Flicks. I'm Ruth Craddock. I'm with
Rae Davidson, wherever I am.
Rae Davison, and we have a special guest today, Adrienne Monson. She is an author. She writes many wonderful things, and she's here to talk to us about her books and her writing journey and all of that. So, yeah, Rae, did you have anything you wanted to ask Adrienne right away?
So I was familiar with the vampire series that you had done a while ago, and now you have a new, is it a series that is coming out right now, or is it just a single book?
So the one that's out right now, I've published book one of a dystopian trilogy. And so book two should be coming out at the end of this year, book three next year. And then there's the Retold Fairy Tales series as well, which is all done.
Nice.
You got all kinds of stuff.
Yep.
Remind us, what's the name of your vampire trilogy?
It's the Blood Inheritance trilogy. Yep. Okay, so here's book one called Dissension by Adrienne Monson.
Nice.
Thank you.
The old cover versions, which I thought were pretty cool too, but
It was a necessary thing to do, but it was kind of sad too.
yeah, I understand. When did you know you wanted to be a writer?
I don't think I knew I wanted to be a writer at a young age, but I was crazy about books from the time I was like in third or fourth grade. And then I did start writing and entering writing contests in elementary school. And I would just write, but I was very private about it. One time my brother found some of my stories on the computer and like read them to his friends and they made fun of me and I had like a big complex about it. So I kept it very close to my chest for a long time.
Which one is this? Is this Chris or Brett?
Chris, yeah.
Mm. I expect that from Brett. Nice.
That's okay.
Brothers, the worst.
Brothers.
When did you first publish?
2012, I signed with a local small press here in Utah, and they signed me for the Vampire Trilogy, and that was the first thing I ever published.
So we've talked about like people's experience with trying to go through traditional publishing and then the rigmarole that that all is and the restrictions that they have. And then they go like full like
Indie.
Amazon independent or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it sounds like you're somewhere in the middle for that trilogy. Is that correct?
Yeah, I signed on with my publisher, Jellyfish Press, and they did publish the whole trilogy. And then they went under and were bought out by a different publisher that only did YA, and my books are more like new adult for like college age people or older. So I got out, I was able to get out of my contract and got my rights reverted. So I'm fully indie now, but I was originally traditional.
Okay. All right. Anything, having experienced both, is there any advice you would give to new aspiring writers about how they would approach getting published?
That is a good question. It really depends on what your strengths are. I think there are some authors who need a lot more handholding, and I think I would have been one of them, to be honest. When I got published with my publisher, they did a lot of the handholding. They got my foot in the door. I learned a lot from just how the industry works. So I had the confidence to bring into going indie once I did get my rights reverted. So I think it really just, you need to know what your personality is and know if you need a publisher to help hold your hand, hold you accountable to finishing your writing deadlines, that kind of stuff. And if you do, then try traditional and just see if it will work out for you.
Yeah. And I like the thought of the smaller publishers. I hadn't even thought of that. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm not a published author. And so in my mind, I'm like, there's the big guys or you're doing it on your own. I didn't think about.
Right.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
lots of smaller places you can submit your stuff to, and you can also do a literary agent and have them do all the submitting. And some people go that route, but
Yeah.
either way, you have to. It's a lot of work either way, right? So, do you have a literary agent still, or did you get one with Jellyfish Press?
No, they gave me a publicist. I never got an agent. I did consult a lawyer, intellectual properties lawyer for signing the contract, which I highly advise before you sign any contract. Make sure you have a professional who knows the industry that reads that really well so they can advocate for you, even if it's not an agent. Um, but yeah, just know, like, investigate who the publisher is. I don't care if they're big or small, investigate them, see how they do their business, make sure it's a good model, and make sure you have that contract like looked over with a fine-tooth comb.
Okay. Was there anything that you wish you would have done differently looking back on your career?
Uh, no, actually, it's been a good, I don't believe in regrets. I believe in learning. So there's lots of stuff I've learned from hard things, but I don't regret the way that my career has gone.
I know this is kind of an awful thing for me to ask. It's like asking who your favorite child is, but do you have a favorite book slash character that you've written?
That is an awful thing to ask. How dare you?
No, Dara, I know, I'm sorry,
Um,
but I have to.
I think I do like all my books. My dystopian is very near and dear to my heart because it just took a lot to get that one written. Um, but I think my favorite one that like I look back on is Ides of Persuasion, which is a period piece with a psychic. And that one was just, it came to me really fast. I wrote it like the rough draft. I wrote it in one weekend at a writer's retreat. And it was just like,
Nice.
it wasn't hard to get it out on paper, I guess. Most of my books I feel like is like pulling teeth, and this one just flowed. So
That's cool. I like that one particularly. I've read that one. It's a cute little novel. I wouldn't say cute. Cute's not the right word for it, but that's just like a small book. I think cute, but no, it's a fun story. And yeah, that's really cool. I didn't realize you wrote it in like a weekend. That's very cool. I'm impressed.
thanks.
Um,
That's a one-time experience. I haven't, unfortunately, I have not repeated that experience.
think that would be hard. That might take a lot out of you. So is that also your favorite character? The lead lady from Eyes of Persuasion?
Isabeau is her name. I do, no, she's not my favorite character, but I love her to pieces.
Who's your favorite character you've ever written?
I think my favorite character is from one of the retold fairy tales, Arabella. She was the main character for a retelling of Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, I haven't read all of those. I've read some of those, but not all of them.
Yeah.
So the fairy tale retellings are essentially just classic fairy tales, and there's like tell us more about those.
So they're actually short stories. They're only like 25,000 words long. And they're a collection from different authors. So like this book here, there's my story, and then there's three other authors who wrote a retelling of Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
And so we all just stuck with our own genres. So my genre was paranormal romance. So I kept all the retellings in paranormal romance style.
Ray, do you have a question? I ran out of questions.
Well, so I was gonna jump forward to what you're working on now. Are
Okay.
are we ready to move forward? So you said book one is already out and book two is coming out. What's the series, and kind of maybe what would you want us to know about what's coming out?
So it's the Secret Assassin series, and the premise is in a dystopian world where there's not very much water. There's only one city left on the earth because it's desert land, wasteland. And the city is run by its church, which is a made-up church. It's not supposed to be like any known church that we have now. And the main character, Zyna, was raised in the church to be a sister, and she's also a secret assassin for them. So book one is her learning about what really is going on in the world versus like what she's been taught. And book two, what I'm working on right now is her trying to figure out what her beliefs are and what she's going to stand for.
Cool.
That's So is
Um,
it in that same genre that you were talking about?
Dystopian?
Well, yeah. Does it have the elements of paranormal romance as well, or have you moved kind of away from that for this series?
Yeah, this one's just straight dystopian. There is definitely romance because I don't know how to write without having romance in the story.
That's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I think the best stories have a little bit of everything. You have the
Mhm.
romance, you have a mystery, you have thriller. Maybe there's some comedy in there for good measure. But yeah,
Action too. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
with you.
if you're trying to hook some readers here, like what would you compare it to? When people are pitching movies, they'll do it's this mixed with this. Do you have like a comparison for like other books or other movies?
I mean, it's kind of like Dune meets Divergent. Dune meets
Divergent.
Divergent.
Okay,
We'll
all
go
right.
with that.
So Dune meets Divergent. That's good. That's good. That gives a good kind of visual. You get kind of an idea of the atmosphere there. That's cool.
We might have been planning to get to this at the end anyway, but do you have like you have your own site? Do you go through Amazon? Have something else? How would
I
people
mainly
find you?
sell through Amazon. I do have my own website, adriennemonson.com.
Okay.
You can follow me on Amazon and get updates on my books when they come out as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
And give us the links. We can put them not only on this video, but also we have our website, paperbackflix.com. And anytime we interview anybody, we want to get your stuff out there so we can link over to you, to your site, to your Amazon, to whatever. And people don't like we don't get like buy
Affiliate
through
link.
us and give us
Mhm.
the, you know,
No, no, no.
we
We're
don't get we
just
don't get anything out of it.
we're not pimps. We're just word of mouth here. So
Yeah.
yeah, so you can find all the authors that come on and do the interviews with us on the website too. So
Yeah.
that's
So
cool.
thanks, you guys.
So yes, I random thing I'm just thinking about. So Adrian, unlike me, stayed with her maiden name for her pen name. I'm wondering why did you choose to do that? And would you recommend doing that for female authors or no?
I think it just depends on each person. I did it for a couple of reasons. I was a lot more popular as a single person versus a married person. I kind of became a little more like of a homebody when I got married. So I felt like more people would know my maiden name than my married name. And my married name is a long name and people struggle pronouncing it. So I just thought
Yeah.
Monson, super easy. No one will second guess how to pronounce that.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's funny. I was at a writers convention. Yeah,
Okay.
I was in a class that was talking about writing more compelling villains, and he was taking some questions. And one of my questions for him, which I should have thought of this at the time, that it was not a good question to ask him, was should you use your maiden name or your married name when you get published? And he's all, well, I only have one name, so I was like, yeah, you're right. You're not at all helpful in this situation at all. At that point, I hadn't decided if I was going to keep use my maiden name or not. My main reason why I was thinking I wanted to use the maiden name was so all the people that I hated growing up, or and whoever doubted me, all those people, when I finally became like super successful, they would be watching and they would be crying. But
Vindication.
but then I also realized, okay, first off, like you, my maiden name is very easy to say, Harris. Craddock's not hard to say, but it's definitely more distinctive than Harris. So I ended up going with that partially because my husband's like, yeah, my name's cooler, so we should use my name. And also because I don't remember half those people that I used to hate anyways, or used to bug me. And I'm sure they don't remember me, but they're not even going to remember Ruth Harris in the first place. And that turned out to be a Ruth Harris that writes erotica out there. So
Oh, yeah, I
since I
forgot about
don't,
that.
yeah, since I don't do that, I thought, yeah, I don't want to be associated with that. So that's okay. So ended up being Archie Craddock. But yeah, you're right though. You were very popular as a single person, so I don't blame you. And Miss Monson is definitely easier to pronounce and to write than Torkelson.
Yes, it is.
Was I not supposed to say your real name?
It doesn't matter.
It just revealed you to the world. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no.
Anyways, anything else you want to share? Like any funny anecdotes from your time doing panels and conventions and stuff? Like anything you want to share?
Unfortunately, I'm not witty enough to have some fun anecdotal stories, but I guess I will share that whenever people ask me for writing advice, my bottom or like my go-to writing advice is give yourself permission to suck, and then you'll actually finish the story. If you keep thinking it needs to be great and it's not good enough, you are going to perfectionism yourself out of finishing your stories.
This is true. This is very true.
I was gonna say I have an unpublished piece that I don't even like anymore, but I don't dare get rid of it because I'm like my husband's like, "Hey, great, you got it done. You know what to do now." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't think I will ever publish this. This is hot garbage." But
It's good
like all the
practice.
way through the
It's good practice though. They say something like, I've heard it said different ways, but they say you have to spend like 10,000 hours doing something or write a
Yeah,
million words to
to be
become
an
like
expert,
an
yeah, you
expert
need
at
to do
something. Yeah.
10,000 hours to be an expert at anything.
Yeah. So it's like all those words you wrote, that's practice. That's words towards your million words before you
And
become
you
like,
know what, Ray? Like celebrate the win that you finished a book.
yeah.
There's plenty of writers out there that never actually finish it, whether it's hot garbage or, brilliant.
Oh, that was one thing I was gonna actually ask you is how you get inspiration. Because I'm not gonna lie, the inspiration for that story that I am not proud of, like, but I did finish it. But it was weird. It was like a conversation I was having with my daughter, and then that night I had like a twisted like dream that made no sense. And so then when I was awake and I was trying to like work it out and I started writing it down and I was like, "Oh, I could make it go like this." And that's what started the
Cool.
story that I ended up writing. So
Mhm.
does any of your stuff have any kind of inspiration or is it just out of your brain?
I think I'm always inspired the more I read. And, I was obsessed with a vampire series called The Last Vampire in sixth grade. And, that took me to reading Anne Rice and other vampire stuff. But I think that's why the first thing I ever wrote was vampires, is because I was influenced, I guess. And, my books aren't really anything like their books, but it was still just once the wheels start turning with an idea and I'm reading about other characters with this other idea, my brain will be like, oh, what if it was this instead? And then it's just boom, I've got a whole idea right there formed and I'm going to run with it.
yeah, cool. I thought you were going to say because you are a vampire. Always thought you looked like a vampire, but no.
Okay, here's a fun anecdotal story. I was on Good Morning Utah at the same time that David Farr, who's in charge of the FanX in Salt Lake, that guy.
Yeah.
So we were talking afterwards, and it was, they were highlighting my vampire books on the interview. And then afterwards in the parking lot, we're just talking, and he's like, so did you file your teeth down to look like fangs to be a vampire? And I was like, uh, no. I just have canine teeth. I'm sorry.
It just came that way. Yeah.
What are you saying?
I know, I really was kind of like, don't look at my teeth now.
Are they that sharp? My brother has canines that are so sharp he actually bites into the side of like a aluminum can and
Oh,
punctures it to like open it. Yeah.
ugh.
And apparently he did this in college before one of his teachers, and then it became like the thing before every class. They're like, okay, somebody go buy Harris a soda. I want to watch him bite a soda can again. And I'm like, yeah,
I feel like
Wow.
I know which brother that is.
yep, you do. You
I
do.
bet.
That's the one you were supposed to marry.
Oh, I think I know this brother too.
Luke. Luke, remember? Didn't
Oh,
you had like a dream or something that you married Luke, like in high school or something, or junior high? You twins. Anyways, never mind. Yeah. And then if
I
Adrian,
was thinking Luke. I was not thinking marriage.
what? Okay, I'm just all right. I like to joke that all my friends were gonna marry one of my brothers since I had five. So I mean,
Fair.
yeah. My brother Josh had quite the crush on Adrian at one point, and I
Also
don't
fair.
blame him. But he had a crush on a lot of my friends, so apparently we have the same taste in women. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm
It's,
getting weird now.
platonic.
Yeah.
This is what happens when we have midday Ruth.
Oh, is midday Ruth worse than late night Ruth?
Midday Ruth is hilarious. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Am I too
That's
tired at night?
funny.
No, no. So, any advice you'd want to give as far as like doing conventions, doing like interviews like this, and like going on morning in Utah? I'm sorry, what show was it on? You were on again?
It's Good Morning, Utah.
Good Morning Utah. Yeah.
Um,
Like any advice would you like suggest people should do it? And if they do, like, what would you tell them to be better at it?
I would say if you feel comfortable in front of a camera or in front of people, go for it. If you are at a place in your life when you want to face some fears and you're not comfortable, then you should do it. Um, I also think balance is important. And so that's, I've met a lot of authors, and I did this first when I got published too, where it was just, I just put all my effort and energy into having a booth at Comic-Con and doing the panels and, having this author presence, which I'm not saying is a bad thing. It was great, but it wasn't balanced in my life. And so it was like, I didn't have as much time for writing and being a mom and, having like a normal life. You need to just balance it out. So I'd say just keep that in mind before you decide you want to try to be on TV and doing interviews and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. As far as conventions go, would you say it's worth doing the booths and getting on panels and doing it that way? Would you say that you got more exposure that way? Did you get more readers?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and the fun thing about the convention, if you do a convention every year where you have a booth there, you meet the readers who like your books and they come back and want to buy the next one, every year. And so they just become like your friends as well as your fans. And it is really neat to interact with them and see them every year. It's like seeing a long lost friend once a year. So I'd say it's worth it. I would also say don't put expectation on making money in the booths. It's I make a lot more money online than I make from a booth, but I do love my experience socially and emotionally through doing a booth.
Yeah. It's cooler being in a booth. You can take the pictures and be like, hey. Plus, the conventions are so much fun. And that was one of the things I liked about conventions. I've only done a few. Was all the people you got to meet and getting to take pictures of people in their silly costumes and then wearing a costume yourself. And maybe I'm a bigger nerd than most people, so it's kind of like this is my kind of people. So that was fun. And I like just being like at an event and interacting with everyone. And me, I am a compulsive shopper, so I also liked running around and buying stuff too. So I definitely didn't make money at the conventions because
No, don't ever plan on making money at a convention, especially like Comic-Con or FanX, because
yeah,
yeah, there's lots of cool things to purchase that
yes.
you're not going to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. And unless you're really, really disciplined or you don't like cool stuff. And fine. But yeah, I always thought they were really cool. They're a lot of fun, but yeah, they're expensive. And essentially, unless you have a lot of money to burn, which I think most people that get into publishing, especially indie, don't,
Right.
you can't really afford to get a booth by yourself, and then you have to get it with other people, which can be its own interesting challenge unto itself. What's your advice about getting along with other authors? Because, like, I know you guys know me, you know that I used to think that I was just going to be an author someday and I would go and live as a hermit in a cabin somewhere and then send my manuscript off and live in my like tribe of cats and never interact with people. And that was like my ideal job because I didn't want to interact with people. But then it turns out it's not like that at all. You have to interact with people all the time. So, what is your advice about working with other authors and having booths and things like that and networking with other authors?
Well, I'd say authors are like artists, and we all come with our own bits and pieces of emotion and strong opinions. And you're never going to be able to convince someone to see your side of things if they believe differently from you. So just go in there with an attitude of being able to accept people as they are. And it's not a competition. That's the biggest thing is it gets awkward in those booths when somebody isn't selling as many books and somebody is selling more, and then there's hurt feelings going around, and and it gets really awkward. And I actually am a big believer in manifesting what you want. And I think having positive intent and energy in your booth does attract people to want to buy more from you. So if they can feel the negative undercurrents going on in the booth, they're not going to buy from any of the people in the booth. And so if you keep it positive and just check your ego out at the door and say, okay, I'm here to have fun, I'm here to learn and have experiences, then that's what it will be. But if you put your ego in front of you and you're constantly comparing yourself to other authors and how well their sales are going or how great their book covers look compared to you, it's not going to go well and it's going to be a miserable experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say from the shopper side, because I'm the one that I'll go to the conventions. I have nothing to do with anything. I just want to see the stuff or whatever. And
Uh-huh.
I think of there was a time that I went to one of these booths that I'm like, oh, my friend does these booths. Like, it wasn't one that Ruth was doing, but I knew that she had done a booth like this. And so I was like, oh, and so I went up and I was looking at all the things, and there was one guy that was just like, oh, well, did you want one of the bookmarks? Because it had all of the different authors listed on the back or whatever. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool. And so I took it, and he's like, I don't know, he had this weird pitch. And I think that it was just like him trying to promote himself, but it was almost at the expense of everybody else at the booth. He was like, yeah, she does fantasy, but it's kind of like blah blah blah, and he does this and whatever, and he gets more into the sci-fi, the tech sci-fi stuff. And so if you're not interested in that kind of stuff, mine tends to be almost putting them down.
Like a backhanded compliment or something.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are
And
my favorite kinds.
yeah, and I kind of got to the point that I was like, okay, thanks. Well, I'm overwhelmed, so I'm walking away. And I don't
Yes.
even know. I might have been interested in some of the others, maybe even his. I don't know. But I felt like it was just so
He was too
pushy.
aggressive, maybe.
Yeah. And so much like, yeah, they're fine, but you're gonna like mine. And I kind of just had like a
Like,
icky
oh,
feeling, you know?
you know me. You know what I like. You're a clairvoyant.
Right.
You know.
So so yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I feel like that as a shopper too. I don't want to be pushed into anything. And I think most readers, they just want to like be left alone and pick up the back cover and read it and get a feel for it if they want to buy it. And so, I never like to be pushy when I'm in a booth. It's more of like, what genre do you like? Oh, these books are that genre. And then if, you can pick them up and read them. Let me know what you think. I'm right here if you need me. Like, I never want to be like in their face because I feel like it's really off-putting.
Okay, I have a few more questions. Of course, I'm going to forget half of them because I said that. So about reviews, like, do you have any advice about handling bad reviews or like wishy-washy or critical reviews?
Say, just don't read your reviews. Like, I mean, if you can't handle the criticism, I got a really bad review for my first book, The Dissension, on Goodreads, and it was somewhat true because it was the first book I'd ever written. And so there were a lot of rookie mistakes I put in it. And so when they said things like, you couldn't tell, so and so's point of view from this person's point of view, they sounded the same. I'm like, oh, no, valid. That's true. And now I can learn from that and implement that, and improve myself as a writer. So I was able to seek out or like just look for the things that helped me and then discard the rest.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can't do that, then just don't read the reviews
Yeah,
because it's not going to help you be a better writer if you are basically punishing yourself with bad reviews.
yeah. And your book's not going to be for everybody. Not everyone's going to love it. Would you advise people to be a part of like a writer's community or like a critique group or things like that, or just to have like beta readers? What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I think it's critical actually to get feedback from other people who know what they're looking for. I mean, it's great if you have friends that like to read your stuff and give you some feedback. But I think it's really important to have a critique group or some really good polished beta readers that know what to point out to you. And if you don't have those, it's highly worth it to hire a developmental editor because they're worth their weight in gold. They are going to help you get to your full potential of the particular book that you hired them to look at.
So a lot of people are using AI now to help them write. So it's like this whole new thing where you can use AI to give you prompts and you start writing something and then like it can tell you what could happen next and like it analyzes different books of the genre you're writing and like it'll give you suggestions. So I know my brother Luke has used it to help him write one of his books. Um, and I know there's some people are really against this idea of using AI to generate art and literature and stuff and are worried that everyone's going to stop actually making their own authentic stuff. Do you have any opinions about that? You think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I, at this point, I feel neutral. I think anything can be used for good or bad. Like any kind of tool that's out there, and AI is just one of those. So if you lean on it like a crutch and you can't do writing without it, then that's probably an indicator that you're overly dependent on it, and maybe you should try to like just stand on your own. But I don't think it's a bad thing if you feel pretty balanced and you're able to like if you get stuck and that's one of your tools to help you get through your writer's block. I have no judgment against that. I think that's fine. It's just the overly dependent where you're only writing what the AI is telling you to write, then that doesn't seem like true art to me. It just seems like regurgitated art.
Okay. So do you have a particular way in which you get over writer's block? Do you have any suggestions or advice on that?
It's a good question. I I actually think when I hit writer's block for me personally, it just means that I need to work on myself before I can work on my book. So,
Okay.
you
So like
know,
your mind's not in the right place, you're not in the right mindset or something?
yeah, maybe I need to do an emotional release process. Maybe I need to write out some journaling and, like The Artist's Way is a really great book if you need to turn to that and do some exercises in it to help you let go of the baggage that's sort of blocking you.
Okay, that makes sense. If things aren't right with you emotionally or mentally, then you can't really flow creatively. Ray, I've talked for a while. Do you have anything else you want to ask? I gotta remember stuff.
Well, I was gonna have before we leave, I was gonna have you tell us again the series, the book that's coming out, and kind of like your final plug. But if we had any questions before the final plug.
I thought I did, but in a way,
So next time.
next time. Shoot. Yeah. Crap, dude. Yeah, I don't know that Afternoon Ruth is very good. I think Evening Ruth remembers things better. All right. So, any last words of wisdom you'd like to share?
No, I think the biggest thing is give yourself permission to do a poor job and just finish the novel and have a good community around you. Go to the writers' conferences, keep educating yourself and be aware of what the trends are. And honestly, when you go to those writers' conferences, it feeds the artistic soul. I get so much inspiration to write when I go to those. So just keep feeding your soul so you can give to your artistic side.
Good
Oh,
advice. All right. So,
also, I'm waiting for Adriana Monroe to make an appearance. I don't know if you remember that, but we were at your house and you kept getting mail to Adriana Monroe.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was a
It was
long time
it was
ago.
a hot minute ago, yeah.
you sure it's not
So,
her alter ego?
yeah, I
Yes,
was
on
like,
weekends.
Shh, don't tell.
I know. That was when I found out you were like publishing stuff, and I'm like, I wonder if Adriana Monroe makes it.
Well, now that you brought that up, I might have to fit her in somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that'll be her
That's funny.
erotica thing name. Ooh, where do we find your books?
Just look for Adrienne Monson on Amazon, and all my books are there. You can follow me on Amazon. My website is adriennemonson.com. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook under Adrienne Monson. Just just my name. You'll be able to find me.
Nice and simple. That works. Your favorite social media platform. If people want to follow you or chat with you, where should they go?
Instagram, that's my favorite one.
Okay.
And then so Give us you can give us the name of everything if you want to, but at least the stuff that you're putting out right now, let us know what you got.
Okay, so I actually, because you were mentioning this earlier, Ray, I did get my book so I could show you. This was book one. This is book one called Broken Habit of the Sister Assassin trilogy. And then book two is called Corrupted Habit, and that will be coming out at the end of this year. And again, if you just follow me on Amazon, it will let you know as soon as the book is available to order.
It'll be linked here. We'll also have it at our website too. So
Yeah.
people watching, even if they're watching 6 months from now, they can still find you.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much. I appreciate that.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for coming on. It was nice to see your lovely face and talk about your books. And, I'm excited for you that you got your dystopian out there and that you're working and continue going on doing your thing, man. So,
Thank you.
that's cool. Actually, I want to ask, would you ever write another vampire series or novel?
I don't know. That's not in the cards right now. I do know what my next trilogy will be about, which won't be vampires, but I am open to the idea if, uh, I get some inspiration and want to go with it.
Okay. Are you kind of like you're gonna do this type and then this type and this type? Is every series gonna be like slightly different genre, or you think you would ever write again in the same genre?
Well, I think so. This series, the dystopian, is me breaking outside my comfort zone quite a bit. But my next trilogy that I already know what I'm going to write is going to go back into paranormal romance. It will have to do with demons and possession and stuff, sort of like supernatural style.
Yeah, I read a little about that one. I like that one.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's sort of just whatever comes to me is what I go with.
All right.
So this question just came out of just now, but so do you prefer like you just set up already that you're probably going to have a trilogy? It's not like I'm writing a story. Oh, there's so much more I need to add to it.
That's what the dystopian one was. I thought it was going to be one book. And as I was writing, I'm like, okay, it's definitely not just one book. And I thought for a while it might be like 6 books. And then I thought, no, I just want to keep it simple in my head. So I'm sticking with the trilogy. There's a possibility I might write a spin-off series if it's sort of like being crazy and having characters in your brain giving you nudges. So I just listen to them and do what they tell me.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
The only way a writer can be sane is to write the stories down and get them out there so they can live their own lives. So you can live your life. So,
Yes, this
yes.
is it exactly. Ruth gets it totally.
That's it. Yeah. And it's the only way to like exact revenge because you can't kill people in real life, but you can kill a fictional version of them in your book.
Fair
This
enough.
is
And
true.
it's pretty satisfying. So I recommend it. Anyways, so thanks, Adrian, so much for coming on. It's really awesome to have you here. And yeah, I'm excited for your next book and everything. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
All
I have
right.
nothing to add, but I like being here too.
I'm glad you're here, Ray.
Love the energy. Okay. All right. Well, for Paperback Flicks, this is Adrienne Monson, and go out and find her books and read them and love them and whatnot and so forth and follow her. Stalk her online. That's the only kind of stalking that's allowed, though. And we'll see you next time on Paperback Flicks. Ray, do you want to remind everybody what we're going to be reading next time?
The History of Love.
By who again?
Kraus. Nicole Kraus?
Nicole Krauss. All right. History of Love, Nicole Krauss. All right. So for Paperback Flicks, I'm Ruth Craddock.
I'm Rae Davidson.
We will see you guys next time. Bye.